Well, you clearly clicked on this video because you want to learn about graduated filters. So let's just get started. Will Simpson here, and welcome to Exploring Photography. Today we're going over graduated filters, pretty much an all-inclusive on how to use them. Now I'm going to try and keep this video really quick because it is a simple tool, but it is good to know it because it's very, very powerful. So let's go ahead and get into Lightroom right now. This is the photo we'll be working on, and this is what we'll be turning the photo into. So we're going to walk through the edit process super fast. I already have done the edit, but I'm going to walk through all of the settings. I have them written down, so it'll be really quick, and then we'll add the graduated filters to top it off and make it look super, super nice. So this is the after, this is after all the edit, and this is before. So let's go ahead and reset this all together and get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to crop it. So we're just going to kind of zoom in here. We're going to straighten out the horizon and lower it down, I think right there. Good, that looks good. I think it's still a little tilted. What you can do is you can click this angle tool here and follow the horizon, and that will straighten it out. So that looks perfect. The first step, we're going to go to lens correction, remove chromatic aberration, and enable profile corrections. That's the first step I'm gonna do. Once we've got the lens correction done, let's go to our basic. The first thing we wanna do is adjust our exposure. We're gonna raise this up to see what we're working with. So let's go ahead and set this to 1.25. Then we're gonna lower the highlights to we're gonna go to about -70, and we're gonna raise the shadows all the way up to recover all of that detail. Once that's done, let's go ahead and set our white and black points. Now you can press Option, click the slider, and then slide to see where the white point is best. You wanna go to the point where the white is just exposed. So we're gonna go up to about there. You see where the white comes in, so +43. The other thing you can do, reset it by double clicking on the slider, is press Shift and double click on the slider, and that will give it, that will automatically set where it thinks is the right point. I want to go a little bit farther than that, so +43. Black point, again, you can press the Option and then you can slide it. I'm just going to do a little bit to -23. That looks good, and it's already looking better. Hit the before, after. Big difference already. The next thing I want to do is adjust the white balance. I'm going to cool this down a little bit. I'm going to go to about 4277, right there. And then the magenta, I'm gonna drop that down just a shade because we're gonna do most of the colors in the HSL. Once that's done, let's just go ahead and adjust the contrast up it just a shade to 15. Then we'll adjust the texture. We're gonna do a little bit minus texture, increase the clarity just a bit, increase the dehaze to kind of get some more clarity into it, just kind of clean up any fog or smoke that was there. After that, we're going to lower the saturation a little bit and raise the vibrance. I like to do this the best. I like to lower the saturation and increase the vibrance. This brings out the colors in the photo rather than increasing them all as a whole. So just a little bit of edit there, and I think we are done with our basic form. So then we're gonna go into the HSL, and this is where we get a lot of our colors. Now I've already done this edit, so I'm just gonna show you what I did. First thing is the hue. We're gonna just drop this all the way to red, so -78. Then we're going to do -34 on the orange. Basically, we're warming up and increasing the redness and the heat of the image, the warmness of it. So then this next one, -15, and then -1. We're gonna take the aquas to -3. We're going to take the blues to -24, -25, not gonna do anything with the purple, and the magenta to -4. After that, let's come into saturation. Saturation, yellow we're gonna do to -4, and then on the aquas, we're going to do -2, just small little tweaks, nothing big, and then the blues, -10. After that, the luminance, the brightness of the color, we're going to do the reds, -41. Because we want to darken them. We want to increase that contrast to the reds and the blue, or the oranges and the blues. After that, orange, -20. We're gonna do +4 with the yellow to increase a little bit of the brightness there. -2 on the aquas, or -3, it's close enough. And on the blues, -20, which will really darken them up and pull your attention to the middle of the image, which is where we want, the sunset. So after that, the HSL is done. So this is the before, and that's the after. That is a huge difference, which really makes it stand out. After that, let's go into color grading. Now in here, we're just gonna adjust the shadows and the highlights. We wanna add some cools in the shadows, so we're gonna do 200, which is gonna be like a tealish color, and our saturation 7, so very little. Oops, I just clicked it, so there we go. And then on the highlights, we wanna add some warmness in the highlights. So our hue is going to be 34, which is a orangey red, and our saturation a little bit more, 24. And that's the before, and that's the after. Super subtle, but it really makes these little fluffy clouds in the top stand out a lot more. And then after that, we are going to do some cleanup. Let's go into detail. So you'll notice that sharpening already has 40 in it. That should be plenty, but we're gonna add a little bit of noise reduction, just a little bit, maybe 30, and then we're going to mask it out a little. So if you press the option button, click the slider, your screen will go white. That means that there is no masking done. Everything is getting 40 sharpening. As you slide it, you'll notice things go black. The things that are black are not getting the 40 points of sharpening. The things that are white are. So we're gonna slide this up to about 38. That looks good because we really want those edges to be sharp. In fact, we can go more. Just really make sure those edges are sharp, and that looks much better. It's very subtle, so if we see the before and the after, you might not be able to see it, but it does make an overall difference in the photo. The next thing we're gonna do is just go down to calibration, and we're just gonna add a little -2 there to make the blues and oranges a little bit more punchier. Now that we have done all of that, here's the before and here's the after. We have made huge difference in no time, but now we're going to wrap up the photo without using any vignetting. We're gonna do more specific adjustments with the graduated filter. So come up here and click this rectangle tool, and you'll notice that you have all of these adjustments that you can make. If you make a bunch of adjustments and then add a graduated filter, you get those adjustments. But let's go ahead and double click effect, which clears all of the settings. Then we're going to add one here at the top of the sky because that's where it's getting darker first. An easy way to make it perfectly straight is press the shift key and then click where you want it to start and drag down. Now on a graduated filter, the first line is where it's in full effect, then it starts fading to the middle line, and then it fades even more until it completely fades out. So let's press O on the keyboard to see where the filter is. You see it starts in full effect here, it goes all the way here, it's a little bit less, and then it fades to completely gone. So any adjustments will be gradually reduced as it gets to the end of the filter. And you can click on the line here and you can drag it down farther. You can then click on in the middle line, you see where the arrows have created turns, and you can turn it and change wherever you want it. You can then click on the circle and you can move it all together. Let's go ahead and delete it. So what we want to do is we want to simply create a small graduated filter from the top of the image down a little bit. So press the shift button and we're going to drag it to right there. And we're just going to lower the exposure. Let's go ahead and press O on the keyboard. Get rid of the mask overlay so we don't see the green. And we're just going to reduce the darkness, reduce the exposure until it looks good. I think that looks good, -55. Then we're also going to reduce the clarity because it's supposed to be smooth. We want your attention to be pulled straight to the middle of the image. So that one looks good. Now let's go ahead and do one on the bottom as well. So let's go up here, press New, and then we're going to press Shift, and then we're going to drag up, creating another graduated filter. Now on this one, we're going to darken it down even more, so your attention is pulled straight into the image. Now one thing that's really cool, if you press O on your keyboard to show the overlay, then click the brush tool up here in the top right. This gives you a brush that you can now add to the filter. So if I brush here, this is now the same adjustment. So this is getting this current graduated filter. We don't want that. The cool thing about this is if we press the option key, you'll notice that you get a minus sign in there. So we want to take out the part of the graduated filter on the top of this sidewalk here. So I want to make the brush smaller while holding the option key to keep the minus. You can press the bracket key on the left to make it smaller and the right bracket key to make it bigger, or you can come over here and you can adjust the size by sliding this slider here and sliding the feather if you want. We're going to keep a tight feather, small feather, and we're going to lower the brush adjustment. And then you can also adjust the flow, how strong this is. I'm just going to reset this so it's full strength 100, but this, for example, will completely erase it, whereas a flow of 40 will lessen it a little bit. You see the difference? So let's go ahead and undo those two. press Option. Now you have to make all of these adjustments while pressing the Option key because you're adjusting the -1. If you let go of the Option key, you'll get the plus where you're adding the mask, and then when you make adjustments, you're adjusting the plus sign. So keep Option key selected. What we're going to do is we're going to come over here, we're going to make the brush smaller. I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to, while holding Option key, press Shift and click here. And that completely erases that section. But the flow was not 100%, so we're going to raise the flow to 100. I'm going to click here, and by pressing the Shift key and then clicking, it gives you a direct straight line. See? Perfectly straight. And then we're going to press the O key on the keyboard to get rid of it, and we're going to darken this a little bit more, and you notice that it creates more depth. Now, this is still bright. This here, the sidewalk is still bright, so it pulls it in front of the image, and it creates depth, so you actually have height in the image too, which is a really big point. So that is it. That is what you can use graduated filters for. It is so freaking awesome. You can create some cool effects with graduated filters, just increases the depth and makes it that much nicer. Now I can't wait to see what you guys do with graduated filters to really increase your images and make them pop that much more. Remember, photography is all about manipulation of light, lighter things and darker things to create contrast and depth in an otherwise flat image. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, but I'll see you guys next Monday. Have a good one.